Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube segment. I'm going to be talking about thoughts on being alone again on my birthday. I guess it would be naturally, like that famous song, something about alone again naturally. I guess that pretty much fits me. And the thing about this is, it's funny that, I remember somebody telling me long ago that nobody is really alone, that that person had a family and had so a good amount of people in his life. And it's very easy for somebody to say, that actually a person that's in a situation that has, a plethora of people in their life, and family, friends, and, people that hang out with, frequently, to say that nobody's really alone. Very easy to say that. It's like these people that, when you have like these famous people and celebrities, and they get preachy and say, things like, well, we could always do better in our life. We can, you just have to have the right attitude and this and that. But when it's people in those situations, they have more, I don't want to say ability, but it's like they can be more enthusiastic about, telling, people what they need to do, or saying that, they're not living to their potential. But, really what it comes down to is, people will often give a lot of philosophical talk. They'll give pep talks. But a lot of times you don't really know, the true answer in terms of getting certain things in life. And when somebody's feeling, somebody could say no one's really alone, but the thing about that is, well, the problem I have with that is, it's the fact that that's not going to make you really stop feeling alone and desolate, when there's no, physical, tangible people that are with you. And the thing too is, part of what happens, like with people, and I've had, this situation where something will arise where you might have somebody that becomes, might feel a certain closeness to you, right? And but let's say, you don't necessarily feel, that same way about the other person entirely. Then if you let the person know that, then they start to back away, and then then it gets to a point where you don't really even correspond with that person that much anymore. And because you had stated that you just didn't quite feel, at least at that point in time, a certain closeness, then that person wound up detaching themselves to a point where, where the communication becomes even more, sporadic than it was before. And then you're basically back to where you were, before, in terms of the people that were in your life. And the thing about it is, I think there's people out there that think, because I do, these YouTube astrology videos, that I have like this immense popularity. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth, because I'm living testament, I'm living proof. Just because somebody has garnered certain viewership, on the internet, doesn't mean that when they're outside, computer land, that everything's all fine and dandy, that they have all these people, around them clamoring for their attention. And that, couldn't be further from the truth. And this will be, I'll be celebrating, 54 years of life today. And the thing is, I have to celebrate it with a goose egg next to me, at this point in time. And, people can say that they're there in the virtual sense or spiritually or what have you, but we know that's not really the same thing. It's nice that people can remember me. I'm sure I'm going to have, people, on Facebook are going to wish me happy birthday, and mainly because they were notified of the fact it was my birthday. It's most people don't really know that, July 1st is my birthday. There's really not many. I don't believe there's many that actually know that off the top of their head. And but they will be, but because Facebook, gives them, the notifications on it, so, that's how they're going to know. And the thing about this is a few things I wanted to touch up on. I put my glasses on because I got, to make sure I'm looking over these things and I'm touching up on this. Now, the thing about it is, when people sometimes will think they're trying to help a person, right? By whether it's giving some philosophical talk, or they like I had somebody say one time, well, Edwin, feeling sorry for yourself is not the answer, and that's really not being very helpful. Saying something like that, it's feeling when one feels sorry for themselves, a lot of times it's because they feel they don't have anyone else that's really expressing that compassion toward them. So it could be a natural inclination to do that at times. I'm really just stating, the facts. I mean, this isn't about getting sympathy, please. It's just letting people know that, not everything is always as it seems, and, don't think, I have a life, where, I'm really flourishing and thriving at this point. And so, I mean, I've actually, although I have stated before that, if I'm subsisting and surviving, I actually am flourishing and thriving. Well, it means that I'm able to survive. I have a roof over my head. I have some food and amenities. But when it really comes down to it from a comparative standpoint, I'm not really doing, that much, right now in terms of my stature in life. I know I'm well below, the average income. And being 54 years old, it's really a little bit of a slap in the face. It's very humbling, and especially what has happened to me over these years. Um, and the thing is, there's also other people that feel, like, well, what I was saying before is you have these people that want, they have the right intentions by being direct and straightforward, like I stated before, when I had that one person tell me, well, Edwin, feeling sorry for yourself is not the answer, and this and that. Well, it's kind of like, it's like if you get here's a good analogy, if you get someone has a floppy disk stuck in a hard drive or something, and somebody tries to get it out with the screwdriver, but they wound up causing more damage in the process. The intention may have been good, but the end result still wound up such where it made the situation worse for the person than it was previously. The situation became exacerbated. And the thing too, another thing I want to touch up on is, okay, I got with the understand why nobody is ever really alone. And I had gotten a video recently, somebody sent me. First they told me that they weren't interested in astrology chart reading after I went, back and forth with them for a little bit. And then they send me this video that's supposed to be this self-help video. I mean, this person sent me this video, and it's something that basically is conveying, not if we don't get out of our box, it could be to our detriment. Something about when we show kindness, we get certain blessings. Okay, I understand that, but if we're not willing to get out of our box, then we may hurt ourselves. And basically that was a message conveyed. Well, the problem is that some people may have more locks on their boxes that they're trying to get out of than the average person. And I'm in a situation where it's not always easy to do that. Okay, I mean, I have tried to do things by letting people know about the astrology videos. I'm sorry, the astrology chart readings I do, but I can't help it if people aren't interested and don't want to get the readings. I don't have that kind of money to do any great prodigious promotion or anything with them. So for me, not everybody has the same opportunities that everybody else has. It's not like I can just say snap my fingers and get some kind of job either, that's going to help get me out of the bind that I'm in. Because some of you may know, but I'm saying this to those of you that may not know about this. As of right now, I have irrevocable nerve damage to my arms, and the thing is, which prohibits me from doing a lot of work substantially, and that's what makes it difficult for me to really get out of that box, so to speak. And that's what now you see, not everybody realizes that, okay, there are people that have certain exceptions to to being able, in terms of going outside their box, so to speak, their confined existence. And I also can't force people to integrate in my life either, as far as from a social standpoint. What am I going to do? Beg people to, be part of my life. I mean, years have gone by, and I've been alone almost every day in this room. And the thing is, I'll have some people that'll act like, they want to start, being friends and stuff, and then they just somehow, kind of gradually dissipate out of my life. I guess my moon in Gemini doesn't help matters with that. It's like a perpetual turnstile. It's like you ever see like those revolving doors when you see like you're in New York City or something, you'll have all kinds of people going in and out of the door practically simultaneously. That's what it feels like. With me, except that I don't have many people coming into it. But the thing is, when they do come in, it seems like a lot of them exit fairly quickly. And I know I gotta something, gotta look at ourselves and understand, is it something that we have done, that causes that? Anybody like with me or anybody that can say they've experienced something comparable to what I have as far as that goes. But at the same time, I really can't understand why people just decide, to do that. But and especially those that have an understanding of my situation, and they chose to act like they want to be friends for a little bit and then conveniently leave when they feel like it. And I have no choice but to be Mr. Adaptable to it and go along with it. So here the thing is, I want to tell people as well, and I don't want to be, redundant, but there's also, for those, some of you, know about this in my story, but for those of you that, may have newly subscribed to me or, just started seeing my videos, just something you need to know too, is the fact that, okay, what I think where things began to go wrong for me, and, it's at a point now where it's hard to get out of the situation, is the fact that when I was like around, I guess it was around 18, 19 years old, right? Well, my grandparents gave me an opportunity to go into, it was like a trade school. It was going to be doing something, with electronics. I don't know if it was going to be, maybe designing like those schematics or doing some just basic soldering. And the thing is, I didn't capitalize on it. I just stayed at kind of a mundane, menial job, and I didn't really, advance myself at that time. And my grandma said to me, even though I didn't like, what she said, she had a point. Many years ago, one of the last times we had corresponded with each other was when she said to me, she said, Eddie, I told you you're always going to have stress if you didn't put yourself through college or some post high school training or what have you. You're always going to have struggles, and this is what it's become a perpetual struggle for survival. Mars and Cancer, having that placement certainly doesn't help matters. It's like I've been in perpetual survival mode for a pretty good time now, and it's just the whole situation has become monotonous to say the least. But anyway, so what I want to say is that, for those of you, out there, the really young people, those of you that, few of you watch my videos that are like, just getting out of high school, and you haven't decided yet, you've been pondering about possibly going to college, just, I would think this over, especially you have some enthusiasm for things, by all means go for it. I think, most, I know people have to decide what they feel, is right for them. But I would encourage you to, if you can, to go to college or go to some trade school, because in most cases, I think it would enhance your prospects, having a better life, making more of a substantial income. I can't, I'm at a point now where that will probably never happen for me, because, due to the fact that I didn't capitalize on the opportunity when I actually had, more full, physical faculties, and now I do not have them, and it'd be very hard, to do something like that at this point in time. But really, I'm trying to see if there's anything else I need to, get at with this. I'd just like to say, that I would say you're you tell someone, you know, you tell somebody about, your situation, and I think, a lot of times they just don't understand because they're not experienced it, and I have to respect and understand that. This was another year that, I got no invites for anything to do anything for my birthday. Again, it's a little bit of a slap in the face. And, to my credit, though, I have persevered. I've dealt with this. And, I didn't jump off a cliff. I stayed very strong on an emotional level. And, that's, what I have to keep doing. It's funny that, I'll have people tell me, oh, Edwin, you're a strong person. Well, being strong is very subjective. Yes, I persevered during certain, dealing with trials and tribulations. That's all fine and everything, and I've endured, a lot more than what a lot other people may have been able to do, and battle back from certain adversity. But at the same time, where you're still looking at a barren room, with the exception of me, I still don't have many people that want to ingratiate themselves and want to be part of my life. This could be, the being alone, could go on for, I don't really know. I wonder if it'll be indefinite. I understand a lot of it can, really some of it can fall on me, but but a lot of it has to do with other people not giving me, an opportunity. I mean, I've been part of this, astrological community on YouTube for almost 12 years now, and there's hardly anybody that corresponds with me. I mean, I wrote to somebody, fairly recently about something and wanted to maybe do something, in terms of a video, and there was never any response to it. So, I don't really know, as far as that goes, why that happened and why there was no answer, but it is what it is, and you can ask people to be part, to connect with you, but you can't, I found out, begging is not going to be, definitely not going to be a solution. And, it's said that it's reached a point where, because I saw something, a video that somebody had on TikTok fairly recently, right? It might have been within the last week or so. And it showed a woman that was like 66 years old, that was homeless, that was living in a tent. And that somebody had inquired with her and asked her, did you think that you would be in this situation? And did you ever envision this or whatever? And she said no. See, I can relate and empathize with that to a certain degree. Now, yes, I do have a little more of a roof over my head. Obviously being in a hotel room is a much better situation, comparatively speaking, to a tent any day. But the thing is, being at a lower stature in life, not having an actual true residence, not having your own house, and being as old as I am, those things can really hit home. And, did I think that things would be like this at this age? Without a doubt, of course, a resounding no. I didn't know. You don't know what the future's going to hold. Just because something seems like, well, it should be, Ed, when you hit a certain age, you should have this, doesn't mean it's going to happen. And, being in a situation where I become rather reclusive, it's part of the reason I don't have many people in my life. Other times, it's because people have just flat out refused to be part of my life. Well, they may not have actually said that to me, but by not being responsive to me, by, like if I correspond with somebody, say through messaging, then after the fifth message, I'll write to them, and then they never respond, and then the communication just dissipates and it just ends. And I mean, what am I supposed to do when that happens? It's like, I don't know if it's because, what's happened during, the era we're in, where there's a little bit more social distancing, maybe. And I think people are a little more detached now. We're dominated by this internet era. Maybe there's less people that just really just don't want to meet in person. There's somebody that said to me, one time that I had corresponded with last year, and I asked her if she wanted to, come out and visit me or something, and she said she didn't think that was a good idea because she didn't know me well. What we have to do is, we don't, we know, people have to understand something, okay? I understand, somebody doesn't know me well, and they want to use that as the excuse not to want to meet up with me, okay? But I want you to think about this now. I've been doing, the astrology videos out here for almost 12 years. Why would I do anything to jeopardize that at this point and cause some kind of bad publicity for myself? So in other words, if somebody's going to come see me, well, how could I be any threat to that person? Why would I do something to that person's detriment when they meet me? It wouldn't make any sense. I'd have to be a fool to do something like that because that would jeopardize my own credibility. And and then it would just get out into the community, this astrological community, what have you, and then that would even detract more viewership from me. I'm already not, some of you may know it, at least it appears that I've been shadow banned on YouTube, and I can't generate much viewership. It's part of the reason I think I've had some struggles in terms of getting people to do, get the readings, astrology readings from me as well. So I don't know if I really have any much more to say than that on this matter. It's just, I would never envision I'd be at this point and have a lot of things not go my way. As there hasn't been an overabundance of, donations on the fundraiser of late, and there also, not having many people in my life. The astrology readings are going, a little bit downhill a little bit. So there's really not much, for me at this point in time to jump up and down about. And again, having the diminished viewership on YouTube certainly doesn't help matters. And you think YouTube, assuming that they are shadow banning me, would have a little bit more gratitude towards somebody that's been doing these videos as long as I have, because now I understand my channel's not monetized, but I'm sure I've inspired some other people to do astrology videos, and undoubtedly at least one of those people have monetized their channel, I'm sure, and it actually can indirectly help you too. But another thing too is sometimes, the thing about this too, and also, I'm, as far as my living situation goes, maybe around September, it looks like I may have something then, but that still doesn't change. I still got, at least 2 more months where I'm at, where you're paying an exorbitant rate. And, if any, the other thing is, what makes it hard for me now to do something is that it would be hard to get somebody to take me in for a couple months if they know I'm going in like 2 months or 2.5 months or so. And that's been another, problem because, I think most people, if they're going to take somebody in, they want them there for a more sustained period, and I respect and understand that. But, and that's another thing where I've been disappointed, where I don't understand why I got very little response in terms of, looking for, someplace. I'm not somebody that would be any threat to anybody whatsoever, and I just wish, more people would respect and understand that. But I'm going to close with that. I'll say happy birthday to me out there. I'll just kind of, and maybe I'll treat myself to a little something on this day. Sometimes we have, it sucks that I have so many years where I've had to be my own best friend, but it's another year, unfortunately, where that's what it looks like is going to happen. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.